Hello everyone, welcome to MSc Outstanding Alumni, the final installment of the 6-part outreach webinar series organized by the Department of Material Science and Engineering at NUS. Consistently ranked among the top globally by Times Higher Education and QS, MSc at NUS has made extensive contributions and breakthroughs in areas such as research, education, and innovation, clinching numerous awards both locally and internationally. With cutting-edge research in areas such as advanced manufacturing, bio-inspired materials, edge computing, and computational material sciences, as well as world-renowned faculty members such as Nobel laureate Prof. Sir Konstantin Novoselov, Prof. Silvia Garacek, and Prof. Barbaros Ozimas, it is unsurprising MSc at NUS is one of the leading MSc departments in Asia. I am Fadila, your moderator for today's session. Before we begin, let me briefly introduce the Outreach webinar series. Organized in conjunction with the MSc Roadshow, the 6-part webinar series aims to raise awareness and showcase the diverse roles and career opportunities available to MSc graduates. During the course of this series, several distinguished speakers from various fields will each give a talk on the careers that they have embarked on. For a more interactive experience, the webinar will be split into 2 parts. The first will be the talk by the invited speakers, followed by the Q&A session by the panel, comprising of the invited speakers and Associate Professor Daniel Blackwood, Deputy Head for Education and Student Affairs at MSc, will answer questions posed by members of the audience. Members of the audience may submit their questions in the webinar Q&A and indicate if they would like a specific speaker to answer their question. Do remember to complete the survey when prompted at the end of the webinar. In today's webinar, we are fortunate to have with us not 1, not 2, not 3, but 5 MSc alumni members who will be sharing their experience undergoing undergraduates at MSc. They are Wee Yifei, Lee Dishun, Tan Yun Shi Elizabeth, Vishnu Saran, and Associate Professor Ng Wei Beng. Welcome to today's webinar session and thank you for joining us. First up, we have Wee Yifei. Yifei, a graduate of class 2014, is currently a cloud solutions architect at Amazon Web Services. She developed a keen interest in automation during the early stages of her career and eventually decided on a career switch to the IT industry. To bridge the knowledge gap, due to her lack of computer science background, she actively partakes in self-learning in pursuit of a more technically inclined IT career. Yifei, please.
Hi everyone, thanks for having me here today for the event. I'm Yifei, an MSc graduate. I'm here today to share a little bit more about my path, experience, and hopefully it will give you a little bit more insights when it comes to select your own path. So before I start, just a little bit more background about myself. I graduated from MSc in 2014 and did a specialization in nanostructured materials and nanotechnology, which I believe they do still offer now. After graduating, I've been aspiring to go down the technical path in the IT industry after my career switch because I didn't have much computer science or technology background from the change of path I took. And right now, I'm a solutions architect in AWS. I'm sure you heard of Amazon.com. AWS is the subsidiary of Amazon providing cloud services to companies, mostly on on-demand basis. And what it means is that you pay as you go, just like your utility bill. And what I do here is to help my customers based on their needs to give them the best suggestions of what AWS services and technologies they could explore for their projects or infrastructures requirements. As there are over 200 services, how do they know where to start from or what suits their use case the best? So this is where me and my team comes in to help. But don't worry, today I'm not going to talk to you about anything about AWS services. Some of you might have questions. How does MSE relate to cloud computing or even IT? What does the path look like for me after I selected my degree? Would that be something I would do for the rest of my life, or is this a fixed choice that's going to change my entire life? And to those who are very anxious about this, I can tell you, is that really life changing? Yes, I can tell you, like, even though I have career switch, my MSc experience in AWS and NUS is definitely part of what have shaped me to who I am today. Fixed, but it is nothing near to that. The only constant has been changes so far. This is what most people imagine their career path to be. After high school, we enter college, graduated, and got our first job. Getting excited about it and start to work hard towards our promotions and continue to work harder and harder towards our retirement life. But is that really the case though? Take mine for example. Many have asked me about how I got to where I am in terms for the career change. From my resume or profile, it might occur to many that after university, I get my first job, I work, and suddenly, poof, I join Google and AWS and get to my dream job. I tried to spend some time drawing out my own journey path, and I realized it's very hard not to get into something like this. That's nowhere near to what I thought it would be, or similar to my peers. At least most of them spend years before changing a company, and we are not even talking about a drastic job role change. So, what is it like? Just showing a quick one here, you can see that after JC, like most of you, I went through a stage to decide what I want to study in the university, and I decided on a common engineering program where after the first year, I will get to choose which engineering major to choose from, and of course, it's MSc. But soon after my second or third year, I actually had some contemplation. Should I change my program? I do enjoy what engineering or MSc brings to me. I love problem solving. I like how the program trains me to think like an engineer. But is that really a true path for me? Anyway, I decided to finish my program, and I even choose to specialize in nanotechnology because the real life applications in nanotechnology interest me a lot. And throughout my years in uni, I did not just study or party. Many did spend most of their time on one or another. Thinking back, I actually got interested in many things. I joined CCA in many small little projects. I work part times, which I always get to talk about. A fun fact that I have tried more than 12 different part times. Of course, not multiple at the same time. Um, and I went for many university programs such as work and travels and others. I encourage you to do so. There are so many offerings in the NUS, such as NOC, student exchange, work and travels. Each of this experience has made me learn through a lot of experience itself and meet new people. Soon after graduation, I found a job as engineer in oil and gas industry, and that's where when most of us gets hit with real life expectation. We always thought we will be ready after graduation, but the learning has actually just begun. At my first job, I was very fortunate to get a supportive team. There are many seniors, and my manager is very helpful and very accommodating. Also, to note that sometimes you have to have the right mindset and attitude for others to be supportive and trust you at work. So during that time, I did take up some small initiatives outside my core scope with my manager, who is very willing to teach us and who is a strong believer in automations for company processes to minimize human errors. And I learned simple Excel and VBA skills through that, and that's what got me interested in technology. Even though those are nowhere near coding still, but that opens up a door for me and makes me realize things I enjoy doing and what I don't. And I decided to make the career switch sooner than later once I realized that I took a leap to join a startup company in e-commerce, and I was one of the pioneer team, mainly working with just the CEO and CTO of the company. We are a very small team, and they are amazing people, and I'm really glad I met them. In the startup, I get so much exposure that you won't get in corporates or enterprises, where things are mostly very structured, and you only do one or few things and get very good at it. I love startups where it fits into my appetite for learnings and taking up new challenges. I get to do many other things and learn many other things outside my core scope. And fast forward a little bit, one day I came across a program in the US called 42. And it's a coding, back then, the coding bootcamp wasn't as common. And the program is not just coding bootcamp. I got interested to it as it's a peer-to-peer learning. There's no teacher to that program. And even though I know nothing about it and I know nothing and about what I will go through in that program, I took the risk and quit my job and flew to the US. Just some background for how it seems to be like for the risk. At that point of time, there isn't much information online that I can get from about this program or syllabus or anything that can tell me more about what I will go through. After I successfully got through their test and being offered to go through something they call La Piscine, which is what they mean swimming pool in French, because basically, as the name suggests, they throw you into the swimming pool to learn how to swim, and there's no one to teach you step by step. And I remember going there with just an email about the destination and login details where I used on the first day to find out what's the next step in the program to go through. But I truly glad I took the huge risk. It really opens up my mind through the program to entire whole new world, and it changes my mindset drastically. I After the program and after I returned from the US, even though it's just like a short one or couple of months, I felt that I have truly made myself to grow and learn as a new person, and not mentioning so many other amazing friends and people I've get to met through that experience. But after returning from the US, I realized that I was with the reality. Instead, restart from zero back in Singapore. Um, but I didn't give up back then. I continued to search on my journey. So I joined some startups to get some small gigs and try out a little bit and explore myself further. And after a while, I got presented with an opportunity to go through an interview with Google. And it's a new journey and new industry to me all over again because I know nothing about cloud technologies, but I decided to give it a try. And after rounds of interviews, I joined Google Cloud, and that's when I started to immerse myself and absorb as much as I could to learn new technologies, new skills, new knowledge. And in Google, I continue to open my mind and try out new projects and meet new people at the same time. Just be open minded and learn and adapt as I go. And throughout the years, I have grown so much trying different things and trying different challenges that I got presented with. And after continuation of where I was, I decided to continue to challenge myself further for more technical roles. And that's when I joined AWS as solution architect, because solution architect is a further stretch of goals for me as a personal aspiration to be in technical in role in IT industry. That's where I have to deep dive into the cloud technologies and work together side by side with my clients and be a consultative role and continue to grow on my thought leadership in the industry. So this is where I am today. But is that an end to the exploration journey? I would say no, because moving forward, there will be continuation of exploration and maybe different paths that will still coming up. And what I have learned throughout the years is, as what you can see here, I highlighted three of the main areas that I realized throughout the years what have got me so far. One of it is the different activities and programs that I have made myself to explore throughout the university life, which we won't get to do it again after we enter the adult working world. At the same time, taking different projects, tiny projects at work, and keep on challenging myself and take breaths to conquer the uncertainty throughout the path or journey that I had, and be open-minded. So try to learn and adapt as you go, and keep on being motivated and challenge yourself throughout the years. And so these are my 2 cents of what I hope I can give you and inspire you today. One of it is that I realized my university education has actually shaped my thinking throughout the years, especially the time where I was studying in engineering in MSc. It shaped my critical thinking and problem solving mindset. This is one of the most helpful and most valued traits at work today. And you have to learn different skills on the job. Don't be afraid at the areas that you are unfamiliar with. Everything is just come and learn as it goes, and be aware of what you enjoy doing at the same time while you are exploring options versus what you don't. It will be helpful throughout the years. And do take risks from time to time. Know what risks you are taking, but at the same time, embrace them, embrace the uncertainty, and grow with them. So that's all what I have today, and hopefully that helps and make you have clearer thoughts on the program selections that you are going to have. And thank you for your time today.
Thank you, Yifei, for the truly inspiring talk. While it is quite terrifying, actually, for most of us to step out of our comfort zones, you have shown that by taking a leap of faith, we can embark on a truly fulfilling journey in the career that we like, regardless of our educational background. Next up, we have Tan Yunxi Elizabeth. Elizabeth graduated with honors distinction from the department in 2018. Currently a business and integration architecture senior analyst at Accenture Technology, she works very closely with her clients to provide a wide range of digital solutions targeted at addressing critical operational challenges and future-proofing businesses. Elizabeth, please.
Hello everyone, nice to meet you today. Let me share my screen. Hello, I hope you can see my screen. Okay, just let me know if anyone has trouble seeing it. Anyway, I am Elizabeth. I graduated from NUS MSE in 2018. So these are just some of my graduation photos here with my friends. So today I'll be walking through a few things. Generally, what was my NUS MSE experience like? The university modules I took, as well as the highlights of the 4 years here. Then I'll talk a bit about my career post-graduation. Currently, I'm doing technology consulting at Accenture. Okay, so this is a list of the modules I took. I thought I'd share this information so that you can see how the course is shaped, such that you eventually start from introduction to materials and slowly gain a more deeper expertise across the 4 years. So really in the first year, in AY 2014 and 15, we had a lot of engineering foundation modules. So as you can see here, I took electrical engineering, some critical thinking and writing, and as well as maths, and as well some basic programming. We also had, at that point in time, some breadth and general knowledge modules that we had to take across the 4 years of our education here. So it was mainly split out quite fairly across my 4 years. In my first year, I had some interest in psychology and also communication management. So those were around like communications and new media modules that I was allowed to take as part of this so-called like breadth and general knowledge module. Yeah, so later on in the second year, in my sophomore year, we did have some core modules such as Head Start module. This is where we had like classes on building your resume, taking a note of what are soft skills or technical skills that would help in our career job searching in the future. as well as some organic chem and also communicating engineering. Some other general knowledge modules that I had a chance to take during my second year was on nation building in Singapore, as well as geography. So I kind of enjoyed those modules as well. So it helped to balance out the very technical knowledge that we were learning at that time. And this was also the year where we were slowly introduced into the world of materials. We started off with learning about the structure, learning how to read phase diagrams, more of like phase transformation, and also started off with like mechanical and electronic properties of materials. And then later on, into the third year, we started delving deeper into the world of the materials. We did some metallic, ceramics, and also electrical, magnetic properties of materials. So as you can see, there's a lot to learn. This was also the year where we managed to find opportunities to apply the knowledge that we have learned across the beginner years in industrial attachment. So for me, I did my internship at Micron. I will share a bit more on that later. On that, we also I took some additional modules in engineering, such as engineering professionalism and engineering leadership. So these courses over here really helped to introduce me to the world of, you can call it engineering management, because I have heard of how engineers make better or great leaders because of their strong technical foundations and also the ability to do critical thinking in complex problems. So this was a really inspiring module to take and left me with a lot of insights as to how I can better shape my learning in the future, and also experiences that I should look out for. Yeah, in my final year, we had our FYP. For me, I did my FYP prof switching, and it was on photovoltaic materials. I tried to create a herbicide sensor with photosynthetic proteins. So that was a pretty interesting experience. We also had a chance to apply the knowledge that we have gained across the previous 3 years in a design project, where we could find a cause or a sort of area that needed help in and create products, design products that would help that particular area. So for my team, what we did was we created a sort of chair or aid in helping to wear like clothes and socks for people with arthritis or moving issues. So that was a really interesting project. We had the chance to do 3D modeling and also some critical thinking around what materials we were going to choose for each component of our design. And yeah, it was a pretty fun experience. This was also the year where we chose a material specialization. At my point in time, we had ability to specialize in either biomaterials or nanotechnology. So for me, I chose not to specialize because I did have a deep interest in learning more of breadth instead of depth. So I also had that chance or that choice to be able to take both courses in both nanotech and also biomaterials. Okay, so this was about all that I wanted to cover for this. Yeah, so these are some highlights of my NUS MSE journey. So throughout all the lectures and lab projects that we had, I got to know my course mates and we had a lot of fun together. We arranged for camps. We also did a lot of lab projects. We spent many hours in the lab. Sometimes it can range to up to 4 hours a day, doing experiments or writing lab reports or preparing for Bible sessions with the professors. So that was a really interesting time as well. It was difficult because we were learning a lot of new things, but it was exciting because we got to see the theory in action during our lab. So for example, when we learned about like the material properties, we were able to actually conduct experiments where we could test the tensile strength of materials or like use the SEM to look at the molecular level. Some random items, the molecular structure of random items that we had brought to the lab. I think at one point we took out a friend's earring and put that in the SEM. Sorry, profs, if that was not allowed, but we did that. So yeah, that was pretty fun and exciting. sorry about that. We also managed to celebrate many special occasions as part of NUS MSE. We have a club that I was a part of, and we arranged like many bonding activities like camps or barbecues with the teaching faculty and also among the students to get to know each other better and to catch up outside of lectures and tutorials. These pictures here are of us celebrating birthdays when we were all still together in the earlier years. And then moving on to the 3rd and 4th year, people started going off on overseas exchange. And we didn't get to see each other for a while, but it was pretty nice to see their stories of them exploring the overseas worlds. I didn't get to go, but I managed to extend my internship at Micron to 8 months and learn a lot more than the regular, I think, duration of 6 months. So this is a picture here of my team at Micron. They did have some bonding sessions that unfortunately I was on MC that day, so I'm not in the picture, but yeah, it's a pretty fun team and a very dynamic environment to learn about semiconductors in general. I had the chance to go into the fab, wear the clean suit and all that, where it's a clean suit is where like it's a protective suit that everyone has to wear to go into the production facility. So it helps to prevent like your skin cells, your hair, basically any microscopic bio contaminant that could get into the semiconductor wafers. So, you know, you geared up and wore the mask and the suit before COVID hit, and you can spend the entire day in the production facility watching the wafers get created in all the expensive machines. So you might hear a lot about Micron technology as a lot of the material science and engineers graduate and found a job there. Yeah, at the end of my internship, they also provided me, gave me the opportunity to work there full-time after my graduation. So I'm very grateful for that. Okay, so yeah, during my 4 years here, I also volunteered a little. This is some pictures of a day out with the elderly with the NUS Rotaract Club. Yeah, it was a very enriching experience. We had the chance to bring up like about 200 elderlies from an old folks home, and they came onto NUS campus to enjoy the day with us. We had sponsors that gave them like food and drinks and ice cream and all that, and it was a very enjoyable time. We had, I think, karaoke sessions to get their voices going, practice their old songs and stuff. So it was quite cute. Okay, so these are just some of my highlights. I would say I pretty enjoyed my 4 years here. The professors are very welcoming and open to any questions that you might have. Unfortunately, I was too shy back then to ask for photos with my professors, and that's why I don't have any now. But I do have very fond memories of the professors and the teaching experience here at MSE. Okay, so after my graduation, I did spend some time thinking about what comes next. I went on a grad trip to Malaysia back then, you know, when we could still travel. It was a short one with some of the people pictured here. And when I came back, I managed to land a job at Accenture. Accenture is an IT consulting firm which specializes in a variety of professional services. But for myself, I think what I do is I've mainly had experience in technology implementation projects. So these are just some photos of my time from the last 3.5 years. On the top left, I think that was a design thinking session where we held with clients. We printed like large pieces of paper for ideation, and it was quite literally like a design thinking sprint. Everyone wrote their ideas on post-its and stuck it on the wall, and we got together and looked at it as a team. So that was one of the ways we did like creative problem solving or ideation here at Accenture. Across the middle screens and the bottom, these are just some of my teammates that I had the chance to work over the years. These are more of the fun photos, but you know, in between all these fun sessions, it's a lot of late nights and stuff like that. But still, I'm very grateful for the opportunities that I've gotten here. At the top right is a Now Robot, so NAO. I had the opportunity to program his writing script, his action script and stuff. So this now over here, he can actually dance to Gangnam Style. So that's his pose over there doing the Gangnam Style dance. And he can actually do like a lot of movements after that as well, according to a song that he plays. So that was kind of fun as well. So at the bottom right, I think it was a Woman in Tech talk that I managed to have the opportunity to present at. So these are all like incoming or current or early employees in Accenture. So we get together and share our experiences of a woman working in tech. So it was pretty interesting and nice to get to know all those additional people. I would say that early on, my experience as a woman in engineering and technology, it all had the reputation of being very male dominated, but I can see that that is changing in recent years, and it's very heartening to see. Yeah, so a little bit more about what we do at Accenture. You can always reach out to me after this call to find out more about what we do. But this is a random statement I got off Google. Accenture is the leading global professional services company. We provide a range of services and solutions in strategy, consulting, digital technology and operations. So I'm sure that there's probably a lot more services that Accenture does, but in my experience so far, I've mainly done collaboration with business and technology teams to implement new IT solutions. So what this means is, for example, if a company has been using Skype, not to say that Skype is an old product, but it has been using Skype for the last 10 years. We come in and they want to change their collaboration suite, especially with working from home nowadays. We come in and install like Microsoft Office, Office Suite, Teams, so that their collaboration nowadays is much more end-to-end. They don't have to open up different applications to share the same file. Teams can handle your chats, your calls, and all that sort of things. I also have some knowledge in analyzing data and generating insights for decision making. So this is mainly done through Excel, that we synthesize all this information and then narrow it down into some key points and table it to the leadership for their decision making. I've also had the opportunity to manage projects and teams for large scale and complex technology transformations. So that, it requires a lot of communication, collaboration, and commitment. But I would say that my experience in the working world shows the reality of it. So I would just like to say it actually comprises of a lot of emails, Excel, and also some back pain. So just a tip, when you start working, do, invest in your health, go on walks, don't sit at the table for too long. And make sure, even now, make sure that your posture is good. So just some takeaways from that I would like to share with you guys, especially early grads, right? I would say that, your university experience, it's not about what you learn, but how you learn. For me, I'm not the smartest person in the world, but I would say that, effort and persistence would pay off. Don't think that, intelligence is a barrier to anything that you can do, but instead put in the hard work and be consistent about it. And that sort of guiding principle applies to other aspects of your life as well. Don't let yourself be the one to say no, but do your best and then, let other people, if they want to say no to you. I would also like to say that CAP is important, but not everything. It's important to have balance. One of the key focus I wanted to touch on in my talk was that, while I did study hard in all the lab projects and attended lectures and tutorials and all that, tried to have a balance by, making friends, building relationships, also volunteering and trying everything that you would like to try in university years before you graduate for real, and you have bills to pay and stuff like that. So so my CAP in the beginning was, at that point, so this is just a graph symbolizing my CAP journey. So it kind of dipped in the middle there because I wasn't paying attention, or I had some learning, styles to get used to. But, eventually it made its way back up, and I would say I'm quite happy with my grades at the end of it. I'm quite proud of what the hard work that I put in to get that grade. So I would also like to say that, during your university experience, you should try to, as much as possible, to take ownership of your learning, develop a growth mindset and embrace change. So similar to what Ife shared previously, you should try as many things as possible. And also, when you feel like you want to try something, take the risk and find ways to learn that skill so that you can find that opportunity for yourself. So recently, I actually saw an article where on the Straits Times saying that Singaporeans are Googling their way to better jobs. So one resource that we have on our side that a lot of people didn't have previously is the internet. So it's a very big resource, and I would like to say that use it as much as possible to see what you want to do with your life and in the future. Okay, so that's all I wanted to share. If you'd like to contact me, these are my contact emails and LinkedIn. So looking forward to hearing from you. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for the informative talk on the program's curriculum and how the flexibility of the program has allowed you to explore your interests beyond the technical subjects. I think it's also heartening for our prospective students to know that it's not all work at MSc and that you do get time to enjoy yourself. Next, we have Lee Disheng, first class honors from the class of 2017. Disheng is currently a final year PhD candidate at the Department of Biological Engineering at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, working on the development of environmentally friendly biopigments for the paint and textile industry. Disheng, please.
Everyone, my name is Disheng. I'm currently a PhD candidate here at MIT, and today I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about my NUS MSE journey. I received ASEAN Scholarship to study material science in 2013, and I managed to do a second major in life sciences. I was really happy because it gave me an exposure to something that I always want to learn, not just in engineering, but in the biology world, where people do like molecular biology on DNA, peptide, and all those things. I'm glad that NUS MSE actually gave me the flexibility to study things that I like. And during my third year, I successfully applied for a student exchange program at University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign in the USA. And that was the first time I exposed to different culture outside of Southeast Asia. And that's really opened my eye a lot. And I studied computers coding classes at UIUC, and that really helped my computer simulation work that I'm working on MIT right now. And I traveled a lot during that 6 months, really living a life that is very different from my MSE life. And then I came back to NUS and I did FYP with MSE. It was 12 months, and I was working with Prof. Tan Sui Cheng on photosynthetic protein. And in 2017, I applied to MIT, and thankfully I got admitted. So right now, I actually in my 5th year grad student life right now, and I developed some biopigments for the paint and textile industry. So let me talk a little bit about it. So there's a big problem with today's fashion industry. Our colorful garments are killing aquatic life. The textile industry is producing more than 70 types of contaminants and throwing that into the ocean, the river, and killing all the aquatic life because the heavy metals are really toxic. It takes 200,000 kilograms of water to dye 8,000 t-shirts. So if this goes on, eventually we're not able to go scuba diving and see some beautiful aquatic life and corals. So if we want those to stay in the next few decades, we need to do things more sustainably. So that's why the world really needs biopigments that are environmentally friendly and cost efficient. But if you look around just on NUS campus, you can see like biopigments are already all around us. like the colorful feathers, and flowers, and even in the ocean you have squid that can make like amazing brown color pigment for camouflage purpose. So right now I'm using a peptide-based biopigment ranging from red to blue color to substitute all the inorganic nanomaterial. So they are not just pigment-based, but they are also structural color, which is iridescence that you see in peacock and even in dinosaur. So it is the same peptide material that is found in peacock and dinosaur that I'm using right now. So this really requires a lot of multidisciplinary knowledge between life sciences and material science. Luckily, at NUS, I got a lot of experience in both of the world. So right now, I'm able to independently lead my own project together with advice of my professors and principal investigators. And this work is patented in 2018, and right now it's ready for commercialization. So I'm working on that right now. So able to reach this step of my PhD really requires a lot of skills. So you need to understand nanomaterials nucleation and self-assembly. And before that, you need to understand the structure-function relationship in order to design those nanomaterials. And for me, I use some computational simulation to assist my design process. And right now, I'm really at the stage of bootstrapping my scientific product into a business and really scaling up my work into something that is cost efficient and profitable. Because at the end of the day, if you want to displace inorganic dyes and materials that are already here for so many decades, you really need to see from the economic perspective as well. You need to make sure your biopigments are cheap and competitive enough to challenge the inorganic ones. And MSc classes really help a lot. So mechanical property of materials, optoelectronic, polymer, and device characterization, biomaterials, and especially Europe and FYP. So for the Europe and FYP, I actually spent 2 years working in the lab in my 3rd and 4th year in MSE, mostly advised by Prof. Tan Sui Ching. And I learned a lot of technical skill during those 2 years, and also valuable personal experience from Prof. Tan while he was at MIT for a postdoc. So there were extensive interaction in his office, just talking about science, talking about postdoc life at MIT. And in the lab, I also have spent a lot of time troubleshooting and analyzing all the data and what application to build on top of this device and so on. So those 2 years really give me a preview of how a PhD life is like. And these 5 years at MIT is really you really need to be independent, because I'm in a big lab, and you need to be able to interact with your team member, got them excited so that they work with you, and there are a lot of soft skills involved besides just working in the lab. And I'm fortunate enough to publish a book with Prof. Tan, as well as a review paper. So some closing message. There are a lot of world problems that need to be solved today, and many of these problems are here because it's a combination of lack of knowledge, careless engineering mistake, and irresponsibility during the Industrial Revolution. So our generation is really just to solve all these problems in order for the next phase of humanity to prosper. And NUS MSE equipped me really with the right mentality and skill set to be part of this workforce, to solve global warming, to substitute inorganic material with bio-organic ones. And yeah, I hope you will consider and enjoy your time with NUS MSE. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Dishon, for sharing with us how NUS MSE has equipped you with the skills and experiences to thrive both as a researcher and as part of tomorrow's workforce. Our fourth speaker is Vishnu Saran. A recent graduate of the department, Vishnu is the founder and CEO of Invigilo Technologies, an artificial intelligence video analytics company that aims to boost industrial site safety. The software developed by the company alerts safety officers and managers of safety violations, thereby enabling early intervention of potential accidents, saving lives, and mitigating work process delays. Vishnu, please.
Hi, yeah, thanks for the introduction, and really nice hearing the previous speakers as well. I didn't make too many slides. I'm gonna try to match up to the previous presenters' slides. But yeah, so like she mentioned, I founded Invigilo Technologies, graduated from MSE in 2019, July, and started this in about 2020. So I took a very different path from most of the people here. I really loved MSc, by the way. I did research. I did like about 3 research attachments, also with Dr. Tan and a few other professors. I also published 2 papers and 2 book chapters. So that was my MSc times in like year 2, year 3 of university. Going a little bit more about myself. Yeah, MSc in 2019. I worked in I did an NOC program, so I went to Silicon Valley for 1 year. That was where I basically worked in 2 companies. One was in electric batteries. I was doing a research associate internship in a company that does electric battery stuff. So they work with a new form of electrodes that apparently is supposed to like improve efficiency rates. And the second company I worked in was actually a nanomaterial surface modification to air conditioning systems that improves anti-corrosion and reduces water formation. So air conditioning systems actually last longer than they're supposed to. That was where I pretty much got my whole startup experience. And I think, I joined this NOC program through MSc, wanting to do an MSc startup once I graduate. So it was very eye-opening, and I felt like through because of joining MSc, I kind of had a chance to dabble with very interesting forefront technologies in the material science space. And that's the cool part about NUS MSc, because contrary to many other industries or in many other engineering disciplines, our department is very updated and up to date. Like every year gets refreshed, and we pretty much learn about very new things at any one point of time. If you look at other disciplines, they don't change much. MSc, every single month, every single year, you have something completely different, and our discipline or department actually keeps up to date with these changes. A little bit more about me. MSc also gave me a lot of time to do like side hobbies like parkour and calisthenics. This is like 4 or 5 years back. Played a lot of frisbee. Sadly, I couldn't represent MSc in like frisbee competitions. I think that's something I wanted to propose to the department, to have like interdiscipline frisbee tournament. They had inter-hall and I don't know what they call it. Yeah, frisbee tournaments, but not inter-disciplines. And I love space travel. And one of the things which I was very into was actually 3D printed rocket fuel, 3D printed spaceships. How do we use material science to like create new materials for space travel or space exploration? And that was a paper that I wrote about as well. So now I'm at Invigilo Technologies, a little bit more of my startup, because that's what I do every single day now. We provide AI solutions to empower safety officers on site, leading to reduced accidents and losses. Sounds very complicated, but actually it is complicated, but it's a lot simpler if we put it down in like a step-by-step process. We put cameras around the construction sites, manufacturing plants, oil and gas environments, and many other locations. They monitor like high-risk facilities. These videos are then streamed to our software, be it on the cloud or be it on the local premise. Our software then analyzes the video streams and detects for safety hazards. Whenever a safety hazard is detected, we send a real-time alert to safety officers. So, not wearing PPE, too close to dangerous machines, handling machinery wrongly, overspeeding of stuff. And when they detect this, you get a real-time alert and populates a PDF report for them to take predictive action at the end of the month or day or week. So with our system, we aim to reduce accidents, thereby saving lives, and also put enforcement measures to prevent such things from happening in the long run. If you guys keep updated in the news, right, every other week or day you see like explosion, accident, injuries, worker died, worker got crushed under a vehicle. And our goal as Invigilo is to have a zero accident future, no matter where we are. So completely safety focused, advised by safety professionals, and at the day we hope to provide a place where workers feel safe. That's the goal. And yes, I'm going to stop talking about Invigilo, but I'm now going to, I didn't make slides for this, but I'm going to talk a little bit more about how material science has actually shaped my whole process, leading to where I am. One of the key things which I've learned through material science is the importance of like the engineering or scientific methodology of most of the disciplines. Material science actually gives the most importance to the scientific method. So you actually go through a very step-by-step process in solving problems, having assumptions, testing them one at a time, and failing fast and finding out what works. And that is very in line with how startups work. You need to have a very logical way of knowing what works and what doesn't work. So I kind of like have assumptions made, test assumptions as fast as I can, and fail fast, and immediately iterate on top of that. So you kind of like find out what is the right way to do things. Of course, there's no right way to do things, but you know what is the best way to do things. Aside from this, there's a huge, amazing support system. The professors, like what some of the previous panelists have mentioned, are amazing. Prof. Chu, Dr. Tan, and some of the other professors that have actually taught me are some of the best professors that I've ever interacted with. They have so much passion and love for what they teach that is infectious. Not just in terms of loving material science, but just loving the whole journey of learning something. Like what Yunshi has mentioned earlier, it's not only about learning something, it's about how you learn something and the process of learning it. I firmly believe that material science is one of the better places where you really learn how to enjoy learning, because there's a lot of it's a good and bad thing because you get a lot of time. It's not the toughest of courses, so you get a lot of time to appreciate what you're learning, as opposed to being caught up in like assignment work, and struggling to do well and everything. You get a lot of time to really appreciate the subject matter for what it is. And those of you who really love physics, chemistry, math, bio, you can really take away a lot from this course. The community also comprises of the cohort. I'm not sure about now, but the cohort size in the past was like pretty small. My time it was 50 people, so you bond really well with one another. You get to form friendships that are really long-lived, and even till today, I still talk to some of them. I attend the marriages, kind of old already, but go to the marriages, have frequent dinners, talk about micron, talk about applied materials, how the work-life balance needs to be better. There are a lot of things we always talk about, and it's all about having a community that we can lean back onto. And another big takeaway to me was actually the fact that material science is something new. Like it isn't like a subject per se. It's like it's not a base measurement. It's a combination of multiple subjects. Like you need to combine physics and math and chem together. You can't just know physics and be able to do material science. So it really teaches you how to appreciate and love all the subjects. As a science person, I really love seeing how everything comes together to basically function. And material science gave me the opportunity to admire how nature works, like solar energy, nanovectors, biomimicry, biomaterials. I really was a fan of biomaterials. I did a biomechanical specialization as well. So took a lot of materials in bio side of things. Like I was even working with how do we use silk to embed electronics? So imagine printing electronics on silk and putting it in the body, because silk is biodegradable. So basically you're printing circuits on silk, and over time the circuit just dissolves in the body with no damage or interference to the body itself. So yeah, like the future is really crazy. And the cool part of material science is also like the fact that there were many accredited professors as well, like Nobel Prize winners, Prof. Benjamin T, who's like has multiple startups and is crazy talented as well. It's very inspiring to be part of this whole community. How it has brought me to who I am in the startup world today, I would say, like, there's never a direct correlation between one thing and another thing. You learn in life that you can't just A plus B is equal to C everything. But I have to say that it is definitely led to where I am because of multiple reasons: community, love. Like, many people go into university and they start to hate what they're doing, but material science actually gave me the perspective to actually enjoy and love what I'm doing. And that is a very important outlook which I had in life for the last 4 years. I didn't go to university having to survive a rat race. I went to university to explore and find deeper meaning to certain things. And that actually led me to doing startups. And today I can gladly say, like, many of my material science friends are actually enjoying what they're doing. And they had the opportunity to explore multiple things in their undergrad years that led them to make a better choice. And in that aspect, I really recommend material science to people. And yeah, feel free to contact me. Check us out on InvisualAI. And if you guys are interested in like AI and material science, AI and anywhere, you can always hit me up and we can have a conversation. Thanks. Yeah.
Thank you, Vishnu. I'm sure you have sparked the entrepreneurial flame in the hearts of our prospective students. And I feel that students who are interested or even thought of doing entrepreneurial after graduation would be very much liked to reach out to you and understand more what they can do. Last but not least, we have Associate Professor Ng Wei Bing. Aside from his appointments both as an associate professor at MSc and founder of Sporogenics Private Limited, a medical technology startup company, Prof. Ng has had extensive experience in medtech regulation and translational materials innovation from his time at the Health Sciences Authority Singapore and various multinational medical device manufacturing companies. Prof. Ng, please.
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to share my slides. Okay, just to confirm whether everyone can see it.
Yeah, we can see.
Oh, okay, thank you. Yeah, so I guess I'm one of the oldest alumni here, so I'm not going to put my year of graduations. You can probably tell from the quality of the pictures that I graduated pretty long ago. So these photos, I just happened to see them this morning as I searched through my albums, and they are turning yellowish. But anyway, I don't have a lot of pictures to show. Probably you can see that I'm a pretty nerdy person. So this is some of the pictures that I can find together with my fellow classmates during my days at MSc. There was a day when...
Sorry, do you want to put it on full screen?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay. Right. Is that okay now?
Yep.
Yeah. So these are some of the events that I had, like birthday celebrations, pretty nerdy stuff like, technical exhibitions, and also graduations, photos. Yeah, so during the days, when I was at MSc, it was very much in the early days when MSc was really just a program. So I'm happy to see that it has grown over the years from a very small program to what is currently a department by itself. And now that I'm back to the department, I'm still happy to see many of the professors, for example, Prof. Blackwood's, Prof. John Wang, who used to be my supervisors when I was there as a student. The feeling is very weird now that they are now more of colleagues to me, but I still respect them a lot. So these are my feelings after going out to the industry for quite a long time and back here again. It's really almost like a homecoming journey for me. So the next slide, I'm just going to show what I've been doing since I left MSc. That was like more than 10 years ago. So I I was working as R&D research engineers in the corporate labs of Sony. So Sony Electronics, they do have a research lab in Singapore, and I was working there, very much working on electricals and electronics and device design. So what I want to say is having an MSc degree empower you with the flexibilities and being to be very versatile in what you can do. So you can see that basically I'm doing a lot of circuit design as well. I'm doing a lot of semiconductors, materials, electricals. So MSc really helps in giving you a very basic foundations in all the different disciplines of engineering that you can do after you graduate. So these are some highlights of the different projects that that I was involved in during my days at Sony. I was working on magnetic materials. I was also working on thin film transistors, organic and inorganic, more for display technologies, electronic papers, electronic readers, those kind of technologies. Working on polymer actuators, that's used in a mobile phone. In the olden days, when you zoom in and zoom out of the mobile phone, which are still, which were still pretty bulky, it's really a mechanical mechanisms that actually bring the lens in and out, and those can be achieved by polymer actuators, because we want the mobile phone to be as thin as possible and as light as possible. So having a degree from material science enable you to do all this, which is very helpful for you for whatever jobs that you want to do. In fact, you can see that you can do wireless power transfer, which is a lot to do with RF, right? Radio frequency, microwave engineering. And surprisingly, there's actually a huge aspect of materials that's involved, because you need to know what are the kind of materials that you should use and select for your receivers and antennas. Also, we need to know about the materials, permittivity, permeabilities in choosing the right materials to design your receiver and transmitter. So again, what I want to say is materials comes in a very core knowledge that can be applied to all, all disciplines of engineering. So I was there for quite a number of years at Sony. Been in Japan as well for quite a long time, working on R&D projects. And when I was in my mid-career, I kind of decided to make a switch, because I was getting very interested to biomedical. And I think that was the time when, MedTech is really coming up huge in especially in Asia Pacific regions. And it hits me that, I'm already at my mid-career. I didn't really want to continue to do something that is getting a bit boring for me. So I switch over to MedTech, medical devices. And just by opportunities, I landed myself with a job in the regulatory affairs. So that was my first job in the health science authorities, where I was doing a lot of, whenever any companies they want to bring in medical devices into Singapore, they have to get the approval, because we need to ensure that the medical devices are safe to be used on human bodies, or whether they are telling the correct vital signs, right, for patients. Safety and efficacy are very important to ensure the medical devices to be used as per intended use. So with the backing of material science and also probably electrical engineering as well, it helps, because nowadays a lot of medical devices, they are active medical devices. The background that I had previously from electronic, as well as not to forget about material science, comes in very handy when I switch over to regulatory affairs of medical devices. So some of you might be surprised in how material science is related to regulatory affairs. So if you think in terms of the biocompatibilities of materials, many of the medical devices, whether you're talking about sutures, whether you're talking about implantables, whether you're talking about joint replacement methods, all these will have materials incorporated, and you want to ensure that these materials is not to cause any adverse events when it is put into the patients. So as a regulatory specialist, you need to know about materials. You need to know whether your materials will tend to corrode. So corrosion science, I think that's one of the topic that I'll be learning in MSc. I think under Prof. Blackwood's, it is still the same. So corrosions of materials, metallic materials, and if you are talking about polymer materials that's implanted in the bodies, you need to be aware of the phthalate. Phthalate is a plasticizers that's commonly used in a lot of polymers and plastics that actually goes into medical devices. And phthalate has been classified as CMR material substances. CMR stands for carcinogenic, mutagenic, and reproductive toxicity. So you need to know in terms of the materials properties, whether these substances are going to cause CMR adverse events in the patients. So as a material scientist, you are equipped to do that because I believe there are courses on biomaterials currently in MSc, and I think that fits in very well. Not just phthalates, metallic materials such as cobalt recently has also been classified as CMR materials in the EU, especially in the Europe region. So there's been a lot of discussions on that. So if you're talking about vaccinations nowadays, when you go and you inject yourself with the Pfizer vaccines using the stainless steel needles, the stainless steel needle typically would contain cobalt as a residual element. So how are you going to test for the compositions of the cobalt? Because you need to prove to the authorities that it is safe for use. And material science foundations on the analytical tools enables you to do that, enables you to know what kind of testing, what kind of methods that can use to measure the cobalt compositions. So you learn about X-ray fluorescence, you learn about ICP-MS, inductively coupled plasma mass spec. So all these analytical techniques you'll be learning in your MSc programs at the NUS that enables you to perform your job as a regulatory specialist, whether you are working for the authorities or whether you are working for MNCs, medical device manufacturers. So this is my journey. I went from a civil servant in the government sectors, and I transit over to a private sectors, still working on the medical devices. Biosensors is working on cardiovascular stents. So you need to know whether the metallic materials that's implanted in the cardiovascular system will have any leachable cobalt that's going into your system in the body. So that's where materials comes in as well. Ultimately, in the recent years, I decided to start up my own companies. So that's Sporogenics. Sporogenics is working on biopolymers that we harvested from plants. Interestingly, nowadays we are talking a lot on sustainable materials. The nature is full of wonders. There's a lot of things that we can extract and borrow from nature. If you look at plants, they do have a lot of very useful, clinically proven ingredients that can be used for the benefits of humankind, and that's what we're trying to do. We harvested anti-inflammatory materials, which is a kind of biopolymers from the plants, and we use it for purposes of chronic wounds management, as well as for post-surgical adhesions, which is essentially, after surgery, your organs start to stick together where they are actually not supposed to stick. So we try to look at that kind of space in the clinical, unmet clinical needs. And that's what Sporogenics has been doing. We are also one of the recipients of the Johnson & Johnson Innovation Award in 2020, working very closely with Johnson & Johnson. So that shows pretty much what I've been doing over the last 10 or 20 years, from being R&D engineers, switching gears all the way to regulatory affairs, and how to transit from regulatory affairs in the government sectors as the regulators to industry, and finally doing my own startups. And now I'm actually also giving courses in NUS MSE. So I'll be able to probably meet you face to face if you were to apply to our programs, where we are going to be very innovative in our teaching curriculum, in the sense that we want to, going forward, we want to be very focusing on innovations and entrepreneurships. So these are elements that is going to be very focused, not just learning the basic of MSc, but how do we apply the basic of MSc to whatever that you want to do when you graduate from our departments, whether you want to work for the authorities, whether you want to start your own businesses, you want to have your own startups, entrepreneurship thinking, design thinking. So all these are going to be incorporated in the programs. Very exciting, and I hope my talk is able to excite you enough to join us. And I'm really looking forward to seeing more new faces in our departments. And with that, I think I have pretty much covered what I want to say in today's talk. So I shall pass my time back to the host.
Thank you, Prof. I think it's really very inspiring that you've actually gone through a lot of different places and different experiences in companies and in the industry before coming back to MSc.
That shows how old I am. That shows how old I am, right?
You look very young.
I'm probably the oldest alumni among all. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, back to you.
Okay, thank you. So, yeah, so, and I also believe that you must feel very strongly, a strong sense of attachment to MSc at NUS. Otherwise, you wouldn't come back, right? So it speaks volumes about the experience that you have.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
So now that we are done with the first part of our talk, we have now come to the end of today's webinar session. With this session, we have concluded the entire outreach webinar series. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to the panelists and speakers who have made time out of their busy schedule to attend the webinar sessions. Thank you for making the webinar a success. And to the audience, we hope the webinar series has been fruitful in showcasing the diverse roles and career opportunities available to MSc graduates. We hope you have had an enjoyable time with us as we have had in organizing this for you. If you have any questions pertaining to admissions, you may connect with the admissions advisor through the QR code on the screen, and we look forward to welcoming you when the new semester begins in August.